Ah, didn't see you there. That's technically correct because you're not real and you're just a camera. Happy 2026, everyone. I know it's a little late to be saying that, but better late than never. I know we're already well into the next year, but I still want to do my due diligence and talk about 2025. I want to talk about how it went for me and some of the things that I watched and read and experienced throughout the year. There we go, that's a little better. This will be a little different than my top 10 video of 2024. The order of things is a little less important this time around, but there are definitely still some things that I want to talk about that I experienced last year. To be clear, these are not just things that came out in 2025. These are just the things that I happened to find enjoyment out of last year. So don't expect Silk Song and Clear Obscure like all the other 2025 lists. This is going to be all over the place, so let's just get into it. Why not? Up first on the list, it's something that I felt obligated to put on the list this year because it's something that I spent the most money on this year, and that is my new wooden privacy fence in my backyard. I told you this is a weird way to start it. Since I've gotten this house and become a homeowner, I've had a lot of trouble with my dog Chopper getting under the fence and running off. So last year, I finally just bit the bullet and got myself a nice wooden privacy fence around my backyard. Now I can finally have my dogs outside without me having to worry about them, which is a huge relief. I can actually leave my house every once in a while because I did not do that a lot last year. It's also not that bad looking either. That's a pretty nice wooden fence right there, better than the old chain link. It did cost a pretty penny though, but you gotta do what you gotta do sometimes with that. So there you go. That's my first thing on the list. Told you, this is going to be a weird list. Up next on my favorite things of 2025, something completely different, is Giant Gorg. Now, you're probably saying right now, Nate, what are you talking about? What am I looking at? What the heck is a Giant Gorg? Giant Gorg is a mecha anime from 1984 about this little boy who travels to a mysterious island where he befriends a giant robot, and together they go and fight a private militia using guerrilla tactics. This was not recommended to me. I found it completely random one day just scrolling around and I saw a robot that seemed cool, so I clicked on it. It's probably the oldest anime that I've ever seen from start to finish, now that I think about it. The first few episodes are set in New York, and it's got this cool, grimy, nostalgic almost looking look. And once how I saw how the very first episode ends, I knew I had to watch the rest. The main voice actor in the show is the same voice actor as Luffy from One Piece, which is crazy thinking that voice actress has been playing a little boy for over 40 years now. It's crazy. The show itself is definitely written in the Cold War and tackles a lot of themes from that era. Does the show say anything about our world today? I'm not sure, but it's still a fun watch. There's definitely some things that happen in the show that I will say are not great, and of the time, there's some people who do some really bad things and kind of get away with it, and it's like, oh, okay. It is definitely a portal to a time we are no longer in. But it is quite fascinating, you know, going out of your comfort zone and just watching something completely random that no one ever recommended to you, and just something from a completely different era that you just would have never watched beforehand. So if you ever happen to cross Giant Gorg anywhere, I don't know, maybe give it a watch. Up next on the list, I'm going to talk a little bit about my time in 2025 playing Shadowrun, 2nd edition. Shadowrun is a tabletop role-playing game made in the early 90s. I think it was 91 when the 2nd edition came out. The setting and lore for Shadowrun is very cool. It's set in this alternate history, cyberpunk future where it combines like a lot of like the cyberpunk aspects with fantasy aspects. So while you have like the neon and the hacking and the capitalism, you also have elves and magic and dragons and trolls. A lot of shooting guns and slinging spells. I played Shadowrun in a weekly game for about a year with some pals. I played this guy called Nash, who's super cool. He was this elf bodyguard who wore a white trench coat and hat and had a white dragon mask. And he was super fast, and he had a cybernetic arm that could turn into a gun, and he wielded 2 pistols. He was shooting around real cool like that, like he was definitely not inspired by Trigun at the time when I was making him. Definitely not. He's super fast, and he's super cool, and he's from Wales. The other characters were cool too, I guess. One of the players actually drew all of us in that game, so props to them. Because look how cool Nash is. He's super cool. This is the first time that I had ever played in a TTRPG that wasn't Dungeons and Dragons, so it was very eye-opening playing something that didn't have the normal 5e rules. This was definitely a lot older and crunchier game, but it had a lot of cool complexity to it that, D&D never really had. There's a lot of cool customization in it. So if you're willing to learn the rules, it can be pretty fun to play. Kudos to our game master, obviously, for running it and teaching us all how to play and all about the lore of the universe and all that. As someone who's getting into GMing, I'm very aware how hard that can be sometimes, so very appreciative of my experiences in 2025 playing Shadowrun. Next on the list of my favorite 2025 things is Bloodborne. In case you don't know, Bloodborne is a 2015 FromSoft video game that they made after Dark Souls. It's this hard action horror game with a gothic Victorian aesthetic. You wield a cool transforming weapon and also a blunderbuss where you can parry people with it. It's super cool and super fun. This was really the main game that I played in 2025 on stream. Usually in the past I would have like an assortment of different scheduled games that I would play, but Bloodborne was really the main one. So back in the day, back when Bloodborne was coming out, I bought the game and I tried it a couple of times, and I gotta tell you, I could never get past the second boss back in the day. So I just dropped it for a while, and it's just been sitting on my PS4 for a whole decade at this point now. After my Movember 2024, I had a goal saying that I would play Bloodborne, and every single time I died, I would eat the spicy ramen. I ended up doing that, and during that stream, I actually beat the second boss for the first time ever. Hooray, hooray. And then I beat the third, and then I beat the fourth, and then I kept playing the game until I beat the final boss, and then I beat all the final bosses in the DLC too. It is such a well-designed game. Even on the PS4, the graphics hold up perfectly. It looks so good still. It looks better than some modern games now. The weapons are super cool. The enemies are really cool. The music's really nice. It's all around a fantastic game. I don't have to tell you that Bloodborne's a fantastic game. I personally think it's better than the Dark Souls one. I know that's contentious, but currently it's my favorite FromSoft game, even though I've only played 2. I haven't tried Sekiro or Elden Ring yet, so I'll have to see eventually. Probably not this year. I need to stay away from ragey games in the meantime, and I got to cool off this year. Regardless, however, it feels really good to finally say that I beat Bloodborne after it being downloaded on my PS4 for almost a decade now. It's nice just to be like, all right, I did it. Woo! Ah! No, I got out of the way! This is baloney! Stop doing this to me! Why are you doing this to me? I hate you! I hate you! After that, the next thing on my list is actually right in front of me, and that's the dog wall. So starting around very early last year, a little bit late into 2024 actually, I realized that I wanted my house to feel more like a home, so I needed some art to start off with that. I wanted to keep a consistent theme in the house, so I chose something that I'm very much a fan of, and that is dogs. So over the past year, I've been collecting and accumulating a bunch of different art pieces to put on what I've liked to call the dog wall. I've got some classic dogs playing poker. I love the classic dogs playing poker aesthetic. I love it so much, unironically. I've also been collecting a few Norman Rockwell illustrations as well. He's made a lot of art with dogs in them in the decades and decades that he was making art for the Saturday Morning Post. I love his series of the boy and the dog throughout all of the seasons. It brings me with a sense of just nostalgia. Like this pillow right here, I think I've had since I was a wee lad. So actually, having a lot of that on my wall now is super exciting. His illustrations are they're so impressive. I have a lot of other dog art as well. I've got, Green Intruder that I got in Florida last year. I got a lot of these thrifting, actually. And you know what? Every single piece on here has a story to tell. Maybe someday I'll actually tell them. I'm spending more time this year working on this house and this space. This is obviously a different setup than my usual behind the computer monitor look that I usually have. And the dog wall is the catalyst of it all. It's what started it all. I still have a lot of work to do, but I'm very proud of my funny little dog wall. And now for something completely different. Next on my list of favorite things from 2025, we've got 2XKO, or at least the early access version specifically. Every summer, usually around the time of EVO, I remember, hey, fighting games, they're pretty neato. And then I usually get back into them a bit. It's hard to stay in them because they're so complex, but man, fighting games are awesome. The fighting game, though, that I played the most last year was 2XKO, which is a free, simplified tag game with Arcane/League of Legends characters. So you got your Vi and your Jinx and your Echoes and all that. This game is super fun. I think the controls are really intuitive because you don't have to do a lot of the commands that a lot of people find hard. It looks really nice. I love the cell shading in this game. And I wasn't that half bad either. I got some dubs in there every once in a while.
Oh! Wait, man. Wait, Nate, that was kind of crazy.
That went stupid. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh.
You can play it as like a 2v2 tag match with other people, so it was always fun getting with 4 people and getting a good combo in with your pals. There's something just really rewarding about winning a match in a fighting game compared to like a hero shooter. With fighting games, you're really focused more on the constant self-improvement and learning from your mistakes from each game. Every single loss that you have is a learning experience to get better. And every single loss that you experience is usually your fault, compared to a shooter where you can just blame your team and the matchmaking. There's just something real special about getting a good parry in, doing your whole combo actually properly, and then finishing your opponent with a level 3 super. That's just the stuff. That's just the stuff. That's where the dopamine hits, baby. They got a real tough parry in 2XKO, and when you hit it, it's like, ooh! I mainly played the early access version back in September, so when the full game came out and some of the more annoying characters came out, I didn't have to deal with that. So this is all from the perspective of playing with the early access characters. Vi was my main, by the way. It was always good. Just getting some good punches in. Yeah, punch. And I know that behind the scenes, as of right now, the future of the game is a little rocky. But if any of what I'm showing looks cool to you, I highly recommend checking out 2XKO while you have the chance.
You got 3 bar, Nate. I'm just letting you know.
Gotcha, bitch.
Wait, this is Nate's 3rd pair tonight, bro. That's kind of crazy.
So up next on the list, we have another TV show. Last year, I ended up watching all of Over the Garden Wall. Over the Garden Wall is a short animated series that aired on Cartoon Network all the way back in 2014. It's this folky, spooky horror show about these 2 brothers trying to find their way home through this weird unknown land. That's all I really want to say about the plot synopsis because there's a lot of cool stuff that I don't want to spoil. I watched it for research on another thing that might show up later on this list. We'll see. This show is absolutely fantastic. I wasn't really watching Cartoon Network in 2014 when I was a sophomore in college. The last thing I was doing was watching cartoons at that point in time. I'll tell you what, though. If I actually had seen the show when it was coming out, my life and some of my interests may have gone in a completely different direction. Not gonna lie. The vibes and aesthetic of this show are just great. The dialogue and the voice acting and the music are absolutely top-notch. At first, I thought this was going to have that sort of witty 2010s Adventure Time-esque, like, mathematical. I thought it was going to have that kind of humor and dialogue. Trust me, it does not. It is very, very distinct from the other animated shows that were happening at the time. Characters in the show are just weird in ways that other shows aren't. My favorite episode is the third one, by the way, in the schoolhouse, just to let you know if you ever watch it. And the show's final 2 episodes are just absolutely amazing and making you just completely recontextualize everything that happened before it. I don't want to spoil anything, but this show is absolutely fantastic. And it is not very long at all either. It's about 10-minute episodes, 100 minutes. You can find it, acquire it somewhere. I absolutely recommend this to anyone. So if you haven't seen it, what are you doing? Go seek it out and give it a watch. Go get yourself lost into the unknown. The next thing on my list might actually come off as a surprise, but it's actually One Piece. More specifically, it is my One Piece chapter reaction streams. Over a year now, actually, I've been pretty consistently streaming myself reading the newest chapters of One Piece on my YouTube channel whenever they come out. And that has been a lot of fun. Back in 2023, I think, I used to make these weekly recap videos for a time that I had to record and edit all of and do a lot of crazy editing with, but I got really burnt out on that after about half a year. And it kind of stunk that I wasn't making One Piece content that I used to for that little bit of time. But as soon as this new arc started, I went to instead just doing live reaction streams, and man, it's been a lot of fun just doing that. It's been really refreshing being able to talk about One Piece again on my YouTube channel, because I love One Piece. It's been cool seeing familiar faces in the chat come in, and we just talk and have back and forth discussions about One Piece. Not people from my previous Twitch streaming chat, like new people for specifically One Piece. It's been really cool to have some new fans. I don't really have a lot of friends that watch or read One Piece, so having people I can talk to in my stream where I can control things, it's nice and refreshing. And One Piece, it's been pretty good recently. This past year, the manga has been pretty excellent with this Elbaf arc. And we just got out of one of the longest and one of the best flashbacks in the entire series, too. So yeah, I'm going to continue doing these One Piece chapter reaction streams, hopefully until the end of the series. Will I be able to keep that up? I don't know, but we'll have to see. I should probably light this candle for the aesthetics. I have no idea if it's lighting or not. I can't see the inside of this. Were you kidding me? Oh, God. This has been here the whole dang time? Dang it. That sucks. That's ugly. So we're about to hit the top 6 on the list now. These next 6 things on the list are really what defined the year of 2025 for me more than anything else previously on the list. So buckle up. Up next on the list, we actually have ourselves a book. And this book is The Crooked Moon. The Crooked Moon is a folk horror-inspired D&D module created by Legends of Evantris. I actually talked about them on my list last year. They make really funny YouTube videos. And to be clear, I'm specifically talking about my experience of reading the book and preparing myself to DM a game, not DMing the game itself being on the list. That hopefully might be on the list next year, but we'll have to see on that. I spent more time thinking about this book probably than the majority of the things on this list. I pre-ordered this book all the way back in, I think, last March. I got the PDF of it in April and read this whole 600-page book throughout the whole year. I finally got this physical book, I think, in September of last year, after months of just checking the Discord and agonizing wait and crazy stuff with, the tariffs. This book really took over my thoughts in 2025. I spent so much time reading through the entire adventure, learning all of the lore and the new mechanics and subclasses and backgrounds and lore of the world and the provinces. I put a lot of time and effort into being a DM for this game. And as a first-time Dungeon Master, this book has been very, very good at helping me with all of that. The story and the setting and the characters and the game mechanics in this book are all a lot of fun. The art is really great throughout. The physical book itself is really nice and a really high-quality print. I've got a lot of high praises for this book. Some criticisms here and there, but that's not what this video is for. So far, I've only had a handful of actual sessions this year, but it's been really fun so far, and I think my players have been digging it too. I've enjoyed DMing for my silly party of adventurers. I know now firsthand the stress of scheduling out D&D sessions and having to, make compromises where you have to. But I'm very much hoping that you will see this book again on next year's list as well. Speaking of which, the next thing on my list actually involves said Crooked Moon party. Last summer, I was very, very lucky to be able to meet up with my friends and spend a weekend camping in Georgia. This was really the only time that I traveled much in 2025, and it was a very, very enjoyable week. One of the days we went to Helen, Georgia, which is like one of those southeastern tourist towns complete with the leather shops and a pepper palace. But the main difference is that it has more of a German theme in the architecture since it's where Oktoberfest is held. That day was all right. It was neat, I guess. A little touristy. But the thing that made this trip so high on my list was the camping, the hiking, the eating, and being with my friends again. Nothing beats hanging around a campfire, cooking food, playing games, and singing songs with friends that you don't get to be around as much as you'd like, especially since we're from all across the country. And as tiresome as hiking is, making it to the end of a hike and getting those gorgeous views, I mean, like, you can't beat that. You can't beat that. Being able to look at a mountain and be like, hey, I climbed that. That's a good feeling. That's a good feeling. Really close to where our camp was, there's this coffee shop. And the shop itself and the coffee there, that's all right. The main selling point of this place, though, is there's this view of the mountains right behind a beautiful green hill with a single tree and a herd of cows. And this view right here might be one of my favorite views ever. These pictures that I'm showing do not give it justice. I went back there. I think we went back there like 3 times just to chill. Simply put, you can't beat a good camping vacation with friends. Though, in my last 2024 video, my Florida vacation was #1 on the list, and we still have a couple more things to go on this list, so these next couple things are gonna be pretty heavy hitters. #4 on my list, I'm actually surprised I didn't put it at the top, but it's still very, very important to last year, and that's, of course, Marvel Rivals. In case you don't know, Marvel Rivals is this team-based hero shooter with a bunch of Marvel characters. It was in my honorable mentions last year since it came out in late 2024, but it absolutely dominated my life last year. Like, this was the game that I played this year more than anything else. I think I've clocked in a little over 300 hours of Marvel Rivals in 2025. I mean, what is there to say? It's just a really fun game. This is the first time in a good while, in a good couple of years, that I've had one major game that I could play with friends for a long period of time. And that was nice to have again. I haven't really had a game like that since back in the pandemic when we were all playing Valorant and Apex and Rainbow Six Siege. It's hard to find a game where people want to play it for more than a month. But Marvel Rivals, it was able to keep our attention for pretty much a whole year. It's been fun keeping up with all the seasons and seeing the game constantly evolve throughout the year, adding new characters all the time. Still a Squirrel Girl main. Squirrel Girl, still best girl. Though I can pull out Magneto too when I'm putting Mag Jail. I'll admit, I've spent a tiny bit of money on some of the battle passes and the skins every once in a while this past year, but I have enjoyed the game and played the game well enough hours to justify my purchases. This year overall was a lot more chill than other years, so it was nice to have just a solid game to fall back on throughout all of 2025. I don't know how much I'm going to play it this next upcoming year, but we'll see. Honestly, that depends on how aggravated I get playing Deadlock this year. Number 3 on the list, we have another and our final video game on the list. At first, I actually had it lower on the list, but after beating it, seeing the ending, and stewing on it a little bit, I had to put it at the top. My 2025 game of the year is Hades 2. Man, this game is so good. It's so good. Supergiant Games does not miss. They've never missed. It's just so good. And I'm so glad that I gave it the chance that it deserves. Because to be honest, in 2024, when it first came out in early access, I wasn't feeling it all that much. I still had the first Hades way above it in terms of enjoyment, so I decided to step away from it for a little bit. Then, around early 2025, after a couple of updates, I went back to it and played it a lot more and was enjoying it a lot more. Like, I would do my dailies pretty much back in last February, but I still waited and decided that before digging too deep into it, I was going to give it a little bit more time to cook. I straight up just skipped a lot of the updates throughout the year and waited till late last year for the full release. And this time, that's when everything started clicking for me with this game. And I will admit that I am very, very, very lucky because I did not rush myself even after the full release. Because what happened is that it initially released with an ending that was a bit subpar in people's opinions. And after about a week or two, they ended up patching the game to give us the true ending. And I was so lucky enough to give it a week in between me starting it back up and then having that patch come out, because I pretty much had the true experience of the game and was able to not get the bad ending and got the build up to the good ending. And from what I've seen of the original ending, I think that this game is higher on my list because I waited. I do admit I'm privileged for getting the true Hades 2 experience. So now, after seeing it all the way through, hitting the final ending credits, and then playing a good amount of the post-game, I can safely say that Hades 2 is a step up from the first Hades game in just about every way. And that's saying a lot, because Hades 1 is one of my favorite games ever. It's a 10 out of 10. The core gameplay, I think, is straight up better. The abilities that you use are a lot more fun. I like a lot of the weapons better. Your upgrades and customizing works, I think, a lot better in this game, too. A lot of the parts in the first game that never clicked with me personally, like the casting and the summons, I never used the R2 button in the first game. A lot of that was either completely reworked or taken out and replaced with something else that has way better mechanics. I also think that the story works better as a whole as well compared to the first Hades game. But that's just me personally. They're very, very close together, and they have wildly different tones. I can definitely see why people would like the less serious tone of the first game, but I think the story as a whole in Hades 2 is better and more emotional in the sequel. And the music, the music is so sublime. I think this is the best soundtrack that Darren Korb has made for Supergiant Games. And that's saying a lot. Man, Bastion. Man, you ever play Bastion? Bastion's real good. The music to Bastion is real good. Every song in this game hits so hard and fits so perfectly with the characters that they are paired with and the environments that they are in. And all of the lyrical songs in this game are top-notch, even better than the first, in my opinion. When I initially beat the game and heard the final song during the end credits, I thought it was all right. I didn't think too much of it. I was just glad that I had been able to beat the game. But then after playing the post-game for a bit, getting a couple more runs in, what'll happen is that you can randomly run into Artemis in the hub world, and she'll be singing the credit song, and you can choose to join her in a duet to sing a more peaceful version of it. When that happened, when I witnessed that, when that happened after a really, really hard run, I remember, and I was able to just sit back, listen to that song again, really pay more attention to the lyrics, and just take it all in, That moment is why Hades 2 is my game of the year. Like I said, Supergiant games, they don't miss. But it doesn't hit my top spot. We've still got 2 more things that we need to talk about. The next thing on this list, I wasn't going to put on the list at all since I started reading it in December, and I didn't really finish it fully until January because I wanted to make sure that I did my due diligence on this one. I wasn't even sure if I was going to be able to talk about this thing considering what it is and its subject matter. It's something that I admittedly tried to read a couple of years ago, but it never clicked with me completely. But I decided that now is the time to give it another chance. And now that I have finished it and I've had some time to think about it, I can safely say that the best thing that I read in 2025 is Kentaro Miura's Berserk. It's really nice to be able to finally say that I am caught up with Berserk. And very similar to what I said about Over the Garden Wall earlier, if I had read this at a younger age, I might have been a completely different person. What is there for me to say about Berserk? If you don't know what it is, it's a manga that started in the 90s. It's this fantasy manga about this guy named Guts, and he has a really big sword, and he fights dudes, and he fights monsters with it. That is the simplest explanation of it, but it's hard to really explain why it's just one of the best things ever. There is absolutely a reason why it is heralded by many as the greatest manga of all time. Every single panel is a work of art to the point to where I would sometimes feel bad for reading too fast because every turn of the page is just a new masterpiece. Like, it's just gorgeous. It is unbelievable how good even the smallest of minute dialogue panels are. Not even like the crazy stuff. Even the smaller panels are just absolute pieces of art. And I'm lucky enough to have been able to read everything in the span of like 2 months. I can't imagine what it was like having to read these when the chapters would take months. Sometimes you would only get 2 chapters a year of this manga. I can't imagine. I absolutely love the characters in this story. And characters are usually what I am most interested in when it comes to mangas, more than action or world building or lore. Usually characters is what brings me to a manga more than anything else. And the characters in Berserk are... I love Guts. He is one of my favorite main characters in any story, and I feel like I just met him. He's such a cool, dynamic character who is able to subtly change throughout the entire story. Like, every single arc, Guts feels like a different person. It always feels like he is reacting and changing to the world around him. You see him grow and mature throughout it all, and it's just beautiful. It's really the exact opposite to Luffy, who pretty much stays the same happy-go-lucky pirate the entire series. Now, that's what I like about Luffy and One Piece. That's what One Piece needs in that kind of story. Luffy and Guts are not very similar, but they both fit their settings perfectly. I might have to do a video on Berserk versus One Piece in the future. Maybe, but I'm bad at promises. I love the rest of the cast too. I love all of the Bane of the Hawk, especially Judo. Ooh, Judo, he's my boy. Judo's my boy. I really, really love the character of Casca as well, and the roles that she plays throughout the story. Her relationship with Guts and how it's always evolving throughout the story. Her and Guts are now both some of my favorite characters in all of fiction. And Casca, she's really funny too. That's the thing. Berserk can be really, really funny sometimes amidst all of the action and turmoil and struggle and horrors. Miura can convey so many emotions throughout this manga. Horror, humor, beauty, disgust, calmness, confusion, excitement. He's a master of his craft. And then, once I hit his final chapter and saw that final page, yeah, that hit hard, knowing that was really the end. Dang, see, now I have to grieve with the rest of y'all now about all this. There's a lot more that I can probably say about this series in a standalone video that I'll probably never make, because I don't want to spoil anything in this. And just to clarify, if you are the type of person to get upset by upsetting things and that would ruin your day, I would not recommend this. But if you have the stomach for it, it's absolutely worth it. I'll just end by saying that even though it came to me right at the very, very end of last year, Berserk is by far the best piece of media that I enjoyed in 2025. This final thing, however, is something that I knew was going to be at the top of the list, considering that this, more than anything else, defined 2025 for me. And of course, I'm talking about Sunny. At the beginning of 2025, I had zero plans for another puppy entering my life. But life comes at you quick. And one wet February weekend where I was stupidly trying to also do a 24-hour stream, I came home with a little wet blonde pup. And let me tell you, I had no idea what I was in for. She was not the easiest dog for me to take care of. Even compared to Chopper, dealing with the bathroom training, having to constantly take her out in the middle of cold February nights, and oh my gosh, the shedding. I didn't know that she was gonna look like that. I thought she was gonna be like a short-haired dog, and then she turned out to be a really long-haired dog. And I've never had a dog that sheds so much in my life. It's been a lot, but I can't imagine a world without her now. It's been an amazing year watching her grow from this shy little puppy, scared of anything, who I wasn't even sure if she liked me for the longest time, to becoming this full-grown, beautiful dog who is just so sweet and affectionate and happy to be alive. You know, it's been about 3 years now since I had to say goodbye to Slant. And yeah, that pain never goes away. But I always knew in the back of my mind that having 2 dogs, it just always felt right to me. And at first, Sunny and Chopper, they did not like each other at all. I was a bit worried at first. But after some time, now they're inseparable. And that just warms my heart. I'm still at the start of my journey with her, but I hope it's a long one. So, more than anything else, having Sunny become a part of my life is my favorite top 1 thing from 2025. So, what is 2026 looking like for me then? Honestly, I don't know. I do know, however, that I still really enjoy making content for this YouTube channel, and I plan on doing that throughout the year, hopefully. My new Dungeons & Dragons stream, where I will be DMing the Crooked Moon, is going to be coming out on Sundays and sometimes Tuesdays. I've put a lot of work into this, getting every monster and item and map into Foundry, into the VTT, finding players. That was a whole bunch of work, helping them make their own characters, coming up with cool stories and threads that I want their characters to experience throughout the entire adventure, making sure that their characters look good in Hero Forge, how we're making that for the streams. And also, I animated all of their characters for what I think is a really cool and unique stream setup that I haven't seen anyone else on Twitch or YouTube do in terms of D&D streams. I went to the woods and filmed an entire title intro for this stream I've got upcoming. So I'm hoping that y'all give this a chance this year. And then, of course, my One Piece chapter reading streams, they're also continuing. I have a lot of fun reading chapters and giving my thoughts out with y'all. So that'll hopefully continue all the way till we hit the final chapter. There's a lot of other miscellaneous videos and One Piece videos that I would also like to make eventually. But before that, there's a little bit of house cleaning that I need to do. So near the end of last year, I decided that I was going to be taking a break from streaming video games on Twitch. The past 5 years streaming on Twitch has been genuinely life-changing, and I don't regret any of it. I've met so many cool people and done so many cool things. But as of right now, I don't think that constantly playing games on stream is the kind of content I want to be making at this point. I want to make sure that I'm making something genuinely interesting and entertaining, and something that I will enjoy myself. I still kind of have that older YouTuber video making mindset. So the last thing I want to do is pump out boring slop streams with zero energy just to please a thankless algorithm. I don't want to be a chill vibes streamer who puts the words chill vibes in their title to excuse them for being lazy and unentertaining. And besides, I still have a bunch of gaming streams over the past couple of years that I still haven't made videos and shorts on. My plan right now is to make an effort this year to get a lot of that backlog cleared out, because there's a lot of good stuff that has not seen the light of day still, and I'm a bit embarrassed that some of these have not come out yet. There's still a little bit of stuff from 2022 that I haven't made into full-fledged videos, and like, come on, man, come on. So I can't be making new stuff until I get all that out of my head. And I can't abandon them either. I can't abandon them. There's some good stuff in there too. As for streaming new video games this year, I'm probably going to be taking a step back from that. You probably shouldn't expect that. We'll see if I get inspired, but only time will tell. But this is all speculation from me, and I am terrible at making plans and staying motivated, and I have no accountability system, so I might do none of these things, and I might be streaming games again, but as I've said many times today, only time will tell. I just hope that I do enough cool things this year to justify doing another list around this time next year. Well, hopefully a little sooner than this. Hopefully I get this out by March, my goodness. And if anything that I talked about today tickles your fancy, give it a chance, because these are all things that I really enjoy this year. Obviously, getting a dog and building a fence are weird things, but some of the media that I partook, give it a chance. And I really hope that anyone who watches this video finds joy out of something this coming year. Happy 2026, everyone. See y'all around, I do declare.